Hey, Sherri girl.
Hey, Cory.
You know, I always love having these conversations with her, and I love our intro because it reminds me when we first started this process, right?
Yes.
And I mean, it's been a minute now. We got some things in the can.
I know.
We got
a Wealth
Academy coming. Right,
yes.
Right. It was so funny. I was looking on our YouTube channel. I was like, there's rows of stuff now, right? Remember when there was like one, you know?
Right.
And we were trying to melt that one out, right? We were like, ooh, we got one. We got one podcast, you know?
Right.
So it's pretty cool to see. I got to tell you, it's been pretty cool to watch. But so today, I know you and I were just kind of chatting. We were saying, what are some of the topics we want to talk about? And we got to talking about some things, and I like to call it, what's the word we want to call this? I don't know if adulting is the right question, or parenting, or.
So this is in the wealth habits category.
There you go.
This fits under free time, family time.
I was gonna say family time, right? Yeah. I was gonna say, and honestly, it could also be a relationship, right?
It could be a relationship.
Because it could be both, right?
Yeah,
all right, there you go.
All right.
So here's what we're gonna talk about. Here's our topic today. You know, how are you raising your children, right? And the reason why I think this is important to talk about, because I think there's such a different contrast to maybe the way we were brought up.
Absolutely.
And maybe the way we're raising our children today compared to the way our parents may have raised us.
Yes.
And more importantly, the way our parents were raised, right?
Yeah.
So I think there are different contrasts because of the different times in life and everything else, and you know, all that good stuff. But you and I were talking, and I think, you know, you and I agree, you know, sometimes some of these kids today, man, I don't know how else to put it. They just soft.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah,
I mean, like, their feelings get hurt easy. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And I don't get it sometimes, you know. So let's talk a little about this subject. I'm sure we're going to get a lot of comments.
Yes.
We're going to have child services calling, okay?
I do not need child protective services calling. All right. So everything I say does not relate to my life.
And that's to your kids, right? Right.
Yeah, I think that one of the things that I've seen, Cory, is that the kids they feel disrespectful to me.
They feel disrespectful.
Yeah.
Meaning
like
that they're disrespectful to you.
To their parents.
Right.
So the things that I see, there are times when I find that, and I don't know if you experience this or not, where I feel like I gotta go, oh. You know, it's where I'm trying to hide what I'm really thinking, because what I'm really thinking is, you need to knock this child out. Like, are you kidding me? You know, Do you think that? Okay, so now that you said that one topic, right? Let's talk about. And I don't know how deep this is gonna get, but because I don't want to name any names.
But okay, no, but real talk.
We won't name any
names.
Okay,
no names.
Okay, no
but
names.
Culturally, okay, like I gotta throw this out there, okay, you know. Do you think culture plays a role when it comes to the rearing of children?
Oh, yes.
You do?
Oh, yes.
Without a doubt.
So
Sherri over there smiling. She wants to be politically correct.
I have to.
You should see her face.
I move in a lot of mixed circles. And I observe me versus somebody else. And so I was like, okay, I've just got to do this when we're not around this group, okay? Because you will listen to me, and you will, you know, and I'm not going to have all of this back talk. No, you can't do that.
You know, it's so funny.
I know you see Timmy.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know.
But Timmy don't live in this house.
Yeah.
So.
No, that's real talk. You know, it's so funny because I think society as a whole right now has gotten so much wrapped up into feelings, right? Yeah. And what's socially correct and what's politically correct. And, you know, I want to be your friend more than I want to be your parent.
Yes.
And I think at the end of the day that we are peers, you know, as opposed to I'm your dad and you're my son or my daughter, right? And this is just my opinion, okay? This is the Coryisms, right? But I feel like at the end of the day, that is so prevalent. Like, I see some of these parents and I sit there and think to myself, there is no effing way I would let my child talk to me that way, right? And the more important, the part that they're not getting out of this is you're allowing your child to be shaped by what you're modeling.
Yeah.
And what's worse yet is that that's why they're not turning out to be these well-mannered, well-behaved, you wonder why you can't get no one to babysit your kid kind of person because your child is out of control. You know, and it's like, to me, I think, when do you get to that point where you realize that you're hindering your child by giving them everything and not learning how to stumble and fall and get back on their own feet? That's just real for me, you know?
And so let me ask you this. How have you taught your kids to stumble and fall? Or have you had to watch them stumble and fall through something? Because I think it's a natural instinct to want to help.
For sure. And I think it's a natural instinct to want to help, especially if you went through rough times growing up, right? Because I think as parents, we naturally want to make a difference for our kids, to give them better than what we had, right? And don't get me wrong, my mom did an amazing job trying to raise 3 boys, but it still wasn't like we were sitting in Beverly Hills getting everything we want. We were hustling, you know? I started working and left home at 15, and I was slinging flowers on the street corner at 15 on Century Boulevard, hanging flowers out at 12 o'clock at night. Knowing that I should be in the house, but I was trying to make money, you know what I mean? And so for me, you know, to answer your question, like, what have I done, or how have I, you know, maybe taught our kids differently and let them fall? I think you have to, you know? I think one of the biggest things that sometimes we make mistakes on as a parent, because I don't think there's no parent manual, right? I think you learn by the evolution of making mistakes, and you try to evolve and get better at it, you know? My first child, my oldest son, is so funny. We laugh and we talk about, I remember how we were so crazy when Chase was born, right? Like, I mean, I remember trying to put a car seat in the car, was stressed out, 20 minutes trying to get the dang thing in the car seat was in to get him from the hospital, didn't know what we were doing. It was just crazy. I remember what my wife and I were talking about the one time that she was folding clothes and he rolled off the bed and he was under the bed, and we were like, oh my God, where's Chase at? You know, and so you were just like panicking, right? By the third child, we're like, let him fall, he good. You know, so, you know, it's just a different process, right? And, but what I did realize is that
you realize they can't break.
They can't break, exactly, right? They're gonna be all right, you know? But I also realized this, right? As much as parents, we wanna protect our children and try to give them everything, I really, truly, 100% feel that we are hindering them by doing that. I think our children have got to learn that it's tough out there. There is no participation medal in everything in life. You know what I mean? You are not gonna get a medal just because you showed up. What the hell is that? Right? And we teaching our children out there that you just need to show up and life is gonna be okay. But that's not real. That's not reality, right? It's like you gotta put the work in, you know? And sometimes it's okay to fall, but you learn from that fall. Now get back up, dust yourself off, and let's make it work. And I think challenging, that's a big part of the process. I think there's that balance that you as a parent and what you want to do for your kids to make things life better. You gotta kind of sometimes reserve yourself and say, don't give them too much, you know? Because, you know, shoot. I love my kids to death, but I think at the end of the day, they gotta fall sometime.
I feel like I'm so maybe I was around a bunch of first-time parents, because many of his tumbles, I wouldn't come running. It'd be like, I mean, you're gonna have to fall and like scrape yourself to know not to go that way.
I told you not to touch that.
I'm not letting you fall off the side of the mountain. But but you might slide. You know, so
you're gonna get a little dirty.
Exactly. And so that's okay. I don't know. I feel like it's like what I'm interested in is him valuing effort. And I see that he wants results, but he doesn't always want to do the effort.
Put the work in.
Yes. And that's really what I am just thoughtful about and mindful about, is how do I cultivate a love of effort? And if there were anything that I wish my parents gave me, I feel like this came later in life for me, is a love of effort. There were so many things that came easy. It was very easy to do just those things. And then, but the bigger rewards that I wanted, I was so geared toward the things because there were lots of great things that came really easy, that I had to learn to love effort. And if there's a gift that I want to give him, is the love of effort.
I like that. As I sit and think, just reflecting on all 3 of my kids right now, I think, if I could go back in time to emphasize and put more of something back into their lives, it would be the ability to, like you said, the effort, the ability to show them the journey part of the process is the fun part.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think, for whatever reason, no one ever had to make me wake up and know when it came to sales, I had to do whatever it took to make that dollar, right? But it's the work and the habits and the processes and the tenacity that you go through to make that happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think right now, that's a challenge for me right now. But even with my own kids, I think my kids are extremely smart. My youngest son, he is a go-getter. Like, he's hungry, right? And, he started out, he was, trading stocks. He was doing these reselling things with these these tennis shoes where they're like $1,500 tennis shoes and you mark them up and sell them. I'm like, I don't get it, but people are paying for that. I'm like, wow, and he's doing drop ship stuff and all these other different things. Like, he's a hustler, right? He's like multiple streams of income, right? And he and I had this conversation about a week or two ago, and I told him that he lost that drive, that hunger, and he was doing the easy things or the things that I felt like were just the normal things of going to a job 9 to 5, but that job wasn't moving him to the direction of where he wanted to be at in his life.
Right.
And when we had this conversation, which I truly appreciate about him, is that conversation I felt like sparked him back into the game again. Yeah. And when I saw him yesterday, he goes, Dad, I'm back to reselling. Yeah. And I'm like, good, get your grind back on, because he wants so many nice things and things that he wants. He wants the good life. Yeah. That child will not be that poor kid sitting in the corner. He's like, I want the good life, Dad. Yeah. I want the Ferrari. I want the nice house. I want to travel all over the world. He want all the good stuff. So I'm like, cool, but have the work ethic to get it when you want it, right? You can always slow down and take a time out and pause, right? But at the end of the day, you got to have that drive and that hunger to go get it for a season to get where you want to be at.
So, because I feel like my work ethic I have a great work ethic, right? That isn't it for me. It's the effort that's uncomfortable to make. And that's what I'm talking about. Because the work ethic is there. Right,
but it's being the work ethic towards the things that are the most important things and move you to the direction you go to.
Because because
busy work is busy work.
Exactly.
Right.
So the things that came easy got me a reward, but it wasn't the reward that I wanted.
Correct.
And the reward that I wanted meant that I had to put forth an effort that was outside of my comfort zone. Because there were so many factors to learn in terms of business and sales and how do you market, how do you communicate with the public and all of those things. And that was uncomfortable, those learning pieces, because I had to run up against, can I learn this? Like, why is it taking so long? Like, I have all of this other success over here that came so easily. Right. Like, why is this, But I know that I wanted the reward. Like, I was thinking about, like, okay, what would make this quarantine better? Because I'm enjoying the quarantine. Is that I would just be quarantined in Beverly Hills. Like
or a quarantine in Beverly Hills and having a big old pool in the backyard is what you're saying, right?
Yeah, that's the only thing that make it better. It's like if I were quarantined in Beverly Hills, Bel Air, Pacific Palisades, Malibu, whatever. But if I'm quarantined over some water, I'm good. If I were, I got a chance to visit this home. I was going to say the name, but I'm not going to say any names. But out on Malibu, and it literally, there's nothing between the back of the house and the ocean. Like, it just looks right out. I was like, I could be quarantined there. Like, that's the only thing that would make it better. And I'm in the midst of putting forth that effort, right, and getting those rewards or whatever. But it would be nice to just be there right now. And so that's what I'm saying when I think about what I want to give Jordan is I want to give him, not that he has to live one way or another. I think that he will desire to live a good life, but that he loves effort, and that he falls in love with effort, and the people that I admire, that they fall in love with effort.
It's so funny you talk about effort, and I'm trying to think to myself, like, what's the adjective that I'm really trying to come up with that I feel it is, and I'm sitting here thinking to myself, I don't know that my word is effort as much as it is, I want my kids to love the journey, but love the results more so. I want the results to mean more to them than the struggle that it takes to get to the result. Do you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because I think that's where it is for them, right? They want this,
yeah,
but they don't really want to work through that hard stuff.
That hard part.
To get to that main result. So I want them to say that this is going to be a struggle. I got that. Yeah. But that result is going to be so good that I'm like, shoot, I can deal with the struggle, right? I can grind, I can hustle, I want them to have that always, right? Yeah. Because I feel like that, if you have that, no matter where you go in life, you will always win.
I agree.
You will always win.
I agree.
And like to me, like when I sit and I think about sales, right? I had my brother, he talks about he hates being sales, right? He's not a salesman, right? And I always laugh at that because to me, sales isn't everything you do in life, right? And people who say that they don't like sales, they don't really understand what sales is.
Right.
Because I mean, you're selling something every day, whether it's yourself on a relationship that you're trying to get involved with, you're selling your son on going to go take a bath, you know, you're selling your family on getting up and cleaning the house. Right. It's a selling process.
Let's see how we got how the bath happened. Hey Jordan, we can't go to Kahir's house if you're not going to take a bath. That's how he got in the shower.
Exactly. It's always sales. Sales is in everything we do every day. Right. And when people don't realize, they think they have the context of thinking it's more like that used car salesman where you're trying to convince people to do something they don't want to do.
Right.
But it's not. It's helping people understand what it is that they want and show them how they can get there without not being a big process to do it. I think that's the biggest part of it. So I think, like I said before, when I go through this process, I want them to love the journey and understand that it's going to be hard work, but man, what the end result is at the end, you gotta love the end result. You gotta love the end result more than the struggle to get to the end result. That's the one. For me, you know, and I don't know what the term is, but that's what it is for me.
I'm
you know?
thinking about that. I'm thinking about that. Yeah.
Because that's what it is. Like I think, listen, everyone's gonna say things are hard. Everyone's gonna say things are tough. Because anything worth doing is gonna be tough, right? It's gonna be hard. But how do you teach someone to have that mental capacity that says, you know what? Yes, it's gonna be tough. I got that part. But that end, my God.
Yeah, I think it comes. So you said this earlier. I don't know if you said this when we were preparing for this, but it's the modeling. Yeah. Because the kids do more what they see you do than what they hear you say. And you can talk all day.
Hold on. Let me drive in that because you said that conversation, right?
Yeah.
I had this conversation with a friend of mine. Do you think our children today model their parents more or their friends and colleagues and friends more, their peers? Because I just had this conversation with a friend of mine, right?
I mean, so the thing is that I got a 6-year-old, so it's not.
Yeah, so
I would
you don't
say
know
parent.
yet.
I don't know. You know, my goal is to remain a primary influence, and I think about that like you know, like what are the seeds that I need to plant now to protect the relationship later?
Yeah, you know, it's funny because I didn't think about that statement until I was talking to a friend of mine. And he was saying that he felt, because he has 2 daughters, and we were doing a brother conversation on the phone the other day, and it was 5 of my boys, and they all have daughters, right? And we were talking about that, right? And we were saying how, because, you know, my daughter is one of the youngest ones, and they all keep telling me, oh, it's going to change, right? When they get to them teens, it's going to change, Cory, trust me. And I'm like, no, not me. Me and my daughter locked. We locked down. Me and Hey are ride or die, right? Now, okay, I used to say the same thing. And I'm thinking to myself, am I being naive? Because I know that there will be some things that she will do that will test me. That's just part of being a parent, right? That's part of growing up. But I really feel that at the end of the day, when it comes to those tough questions, those tough conversations, I feel she will come to me and talk to me about that, you know? Because I feel like we have that kind of relationship, right? We talk and play and we're friends, you know? But at the same time, she knows daddy is daddy, you know what I mean? But I also think she knows that daddy is gonna always protect her as well. So I hope that she feels that she can always reach out and come to me, right? But when he was saying this conversation, they were telling me about their daughters and stuff, they were saying how the daughters were more influenced by their peers and their social surroundings and their friends more so than the modeling that they got from their parents, because when they were out and about with their friends, they were doing certain things that they shouldn't be doing. But even though they had that instilled, brought up the right way, right parents, 2-household, household, good income, they were still acting a certain way when they were with their peers, modeling from that standpoint.
So that makes me, because I'm thinking about being a young girl. And I feel like there's so much pressure on young girls to look right, to have the right clothes, to be in the right car if you're of driving age, to date the right guy or have the right boy interested in you. And like, I don't know how girls survive today. I mean, we didn't have social media, so we didn't have any of the pressure that comes. So I think it depends on the personality.
Yeah.
And I think that if you're a strong personality, then probably you won't be as impacted by
influence, right?
But you know, and I can't even. It's funny you're saying that. So I remember being in my 20s, and some friends of mine got together, and we did this thing called Girl Power, because something happened in the teenage years where we stopped believing that we could do anything.
Right.
And I can't even tell you when it happened and when I stopped feeling like the world belonged to me. But there was this definite shift. And maybe it came from, you know, what you saw in the magazines and, you know, what was considered beautiful and what was considered attractive and what somebody wanted. And I remember being in my 20s and really realizing that what the heck happened? Like, I remember being 12 and feeling like I could do anything. Like, just if I said it, I believed I could accomplish it.
Right.
And it wasn't even like I'd had like any failures to say, any real failures to say, oh, well, that's why I feel this way. But something happens just being in this society that I think for young girls, it's tough. And I really haven't thought this through, because so just you saying this is taking me there mentally. I don't know how you necessarily protect that, but I know that there's something between 13 and 20 that like really jams up your self-image.
Yeah.
And I didn't have, it's one of the things I've worked with Jordan, because he's a boy and his life would be a whole different thing than mine, but always working around his self-narrative, because he's a black male, and I don't want him having the self-narrative of the world is against me.
Right.
You know, that I want him to have the self-narrative that I don't care what the opposition is, I can take it. You know, like it's that mindset, and I feel like.
Well, let me ask you a question about that, because from a mom's standpoint, right, raising a male black child, right, which I think is a whole nother level, to be honest with you, right?
Yes.
Do you have that talk with them? And you know the talk I'm talking about, right?
Absolutely.
Because I think you're right. Let me finish my thought on this, right? Because I think in one aspect, and in one respect, it's my son Chase, right? Chase has been brought up that he can do anything and everything he ever wanted, right? And I don't think that he's ever really kind of looked at or has ever been looked at in a certain way that he's a black male. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I remember him telling me stories about him going into a BSU, and they were like, "Who are you?" You know, kind of thing, because you know his mama's Filipino, I'm black, and you know he don't look the black side, right? Where my other son, my youngest son, Chance, does look more like he's got black in him, right? Darker skin color and so forth. But my question to this is this: as you being a black mom raising a son, do you have that conversation with them? Because I know in one respect you're saying, "Hey, you should have no limits. You should be able to do whatever you want in the world," and blah, blah, blah. But then also on the other side of that is the reality of you need to understand what world is, right? What the world really is, and how you have to understand that there are certain things that you're going to always have someone look at you a different way because of your skin color. I mean, sad as it says, look, I know we've made leaps and bounds, I agree, but there is still a long way to go. You know what I mean?
I think... Well, first I'm gonna pray my way through it. Let's say that. Okay? All right. So I won't be going into this trying to operate in my own power. I think I'm going to let the moment dictate what I need to say to him, meaning that once I got a handle on my self-narrative personally, then it didn't matter what anybody else said or did, and that I could receive someone's negativity. When I say receive, I mean like I could say, okay, this person is being this way, and then make a decision that that's not going to change how I'm going to show up.
Okay, I want to make sure I follow you what you're saying, okay? Because I want to make sure that I understand what you're saying. So, are you saying that the conversation you have with Jordan at some point in time will be said or started based off of the narrative of what comes up in that situation? Or are you preparing him in advance, and even if the situation doesn't come up, you're preparing him for that process?
Yeah, so we don't really have conversations around race. We have conversations around these are the people that you come from, here's how great you are. So, different historical figures, and here's what's amazing about being from this culture. And so I want him steeped in an awareness of, this part of himself. So we do a lot.
I guess my question is, why not?
Why not?
Don't you think, I'm, again, black male, okay?
Yeah.
I'm talking to my sister right now, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's great to have the ability to feel like we're all accepted, right?
Yeah.
And we are all, there's no barriers or color lines or anything along that line, right? But I also think at the end of the day that you need to have a conversation with your son as being a black male, even before he gets to an age where it becomes prevalent for him, because it's going to come up. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
and the fact that you're not having the conversation about it, I think is, my opinion, I think it does a disservice for him to be prepared for what can come.
Yeah.
I really do, Sherri.
Okay.
And that's real talk. I know, we both have very strong multicultural relationships with a lot of people in the world, right? But I don't care what we talk about at the end of the day, it's still real, Like I was driving around the other day and, I drive a really nice car and normally I'm in a suit and tie, but I have my hat turned on backwards and I had the car come up, or the cop right beside me, look in and look at me and I'm sitting there going, really? I'm like 50 something years old, I'm like, seriously? But it's still real, it really is. And I think that the first time I got pulled over and was sitting on the side of the street corner, no one told me about that. Cause my mom was like how you are, right? She had us around in a lot of predominantly white schools and trying to get us to the nice neighborhoods. And so it was a culture shock when it came out and people were like, I'm like, aren't we all supposed to do this? Kind of thing. And so by not knowing, I think it was hindrance. It was harder for me to deal with it when it came, right? Yeah. And so now for me, I try to be very conversational around that.
How young is too young? He's 6.
I know. I'm not saying.
Just real talk. He's 6.
He's 6, but listen,
he's 6, and
Look, Sherri, here's my thought.
It's when do you rob someone of their
innocence? Of believing that life is all good and it's cookies and creams and has a paper. I'm not saying that you got to do it right away, but what I am saying, you need to have that conversation. And it's not a conversation you have once you get into high school. It's a conversation way before that junior high kind of thing. What is that, middle school thing?
I didn't say high school. I'm just saying I'm feeling my way through this and praying my way through this. And what I love about him is that he sees race, he is aware of race, but he doesn't have any of the yucky.
Right. I got you. Look, Sherri, I get it. And I know you're trying to, my daughter still believes in the tooth fairy. I get it, okay? Right, So trust me when I say you want to hold on to the innocence of life as you can.
You're hurting me right now.
But I'm just saying, real talk, as there's going to come a time you have the conversation.
Y'all got to put something in the chat.
There's got to be a talk.
Let me know where we are. I don't know. I don't know who's.
I'm telling you, because
I don't have a side. I don't have a side. I just know what is precious to me, which is he loves all people.
I know. Sherri, listen, I'm not trying to take that away from you, but what I'm saying is let's not be naive either. You know what I mean? Reality-wise, let's not set our children up for failure, because the reality of this is that there is going to come a time this is going to happen. And it's going to happen in a big way, and it's going to shock himself if he's not ever been exposed to it or know anything about it. That's all I'm trying to say, right? That's my only point to this, because it's the same thing with my boys, right? My boys don't look like hood rats or whatever you want to call it. They don't have their slacks hanging down on their butt. I wish they would, or anything like that. But I do know at the end of the day, don't think I don't worry every time my youngest son goes out of this house hanging with his buddies, and there may be 5 or 6 of them, and they're every ethnicity you can think of. He's got Persian, Latino, blah, blah, and they all hanging out. But I know with him being the one that looks like he's African American and black in his house, and they walking somewhere, I worry about him making it home and someone doing something to him. So they know Cops come, hands up, don't make no sudden moves, sit down on the ground. If you're getting pulled over, keep your hands on the steering wheel. They know this, right? Because my fear is something happens to them because I didn't teach them that process.
Right.
Because they thought everybody's the same. Oh, we all cool. We get to hang out. Let me tell you, I tell my boy all the time, let me tell you something. At the end of the day, if it comes to one or the other, I'm telling you, you're going to be the one that's going to pull over.
Right.
It's just real out. It's just reality to it. I hate that it is that way, but it's real talk. And I'm just saying to you, you gotta have that conversation. You can't be letting them go through life thinking life is rainbows and sugar coats,
No.
sugar cookies and shit. You know.
I didn't say I wouldn't have that conversation with him, but I do think about what do I say to him about race at this age. At this age.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, I think the conversation is just to see where his mind is at, right? Because kids are cruel. Like these little bandits looking, they cruel, right?
Yeah,
they say some stuff, I'll be like, ooh, hey, did they just say that? You know what I'm saying?
Right,
so I just want to make sure that you're aware, and I think that conversation that if it comes up and it has, there are different ethnicities in your school and stuff like that, he needs to understand, and he needs to know who he is, and more importantly, like you said, he needs to know that we are beautiful and that we are amazing and we can do anything we want to do. Don't let anybody else take that away from him. One of them, I can't remember who it was, but one of the, my niece, and we were talking to someone and she was saying something about her skin color being too dark, but that's because what school she was going to, right? And I'm sitting there thinking about that and I'm sitting there going, what? But because that's what she hadn't been taught about how to, understand that she's okay to be that way, and this is what's there. But again, 6 years old, 7 years old, that's where she's at this point. So it comes up in school, So that's all I'm saying, we need to be vigilant in that process. So. All right, guys. We're going to wrap this one. We got deep today.
That was
took it deep.
Oh, my God.
Well, guys, that's the end and the wrap of Wealth Habits today.
I'm going to need some love in the chat, y'all.
As always, reach out to us as often as you can. Look out and follow us. Subscribe to us below, and make sure you guys keep up with us on the Wealth Habits Academy. Take care. You guys be well and blessed. Bye-bye.
Accept